Okay, good day. In this tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to use scripting, basic scripting in Matlab. We will be dealing with some basic programming techniques as well as creating some functions that accepts or returns a particular argument. So to start with, let us try to work on with a new script. From the new script that we have, so let us say we want to create a function or a script that deals with guessing a number. So in this tutorial as well, I'll be teaching you how to use condition statements such as an if else statement so that we could use that to guess a particular number. So I'll be creating a function my guess. So that would be also your file name for Matlab to be considered, that when you try to type that function, it will run the script. Now I'll put a variable x, then put it as input. Let's say, for example, pick a number from 1 to 100. So I'll maximize this one so that we could see it clearly. From there, the user will input a particular value and it will be going to the variable x. Now the x will be compared to a particular number. Let's say, for example, a favorite number of I want to have a number which is 99. So if I have, so I'll be creating an if, so that has condition. So unlike with C++, MATLAB doesn't need any more parentheses when we try to create an if statement. And as you can see, there's no braces that we will be using in this particular function if. So if x is equal to 99. So as you'd notice as well, I put a double equal sign and it's indicating that this one is a condition statement, that you are comparing a variable x to a value which is 99. If this would be a single equal sign, then that is what we call an assignment operator. So what we need right now is a compare instruction that is comparing x if it is equal to 99. So I'll be having a function called display, then you have guessed my favorite number. So if you have guessed it, then this would be displayed on the command window. If not, we will be putting else display. We'll put here sorry, try again next time. Bye. So that would be our display when you have picked a wrong number. So if you would see, the if statement has still a red underline or red marking. It looks like a grammatical error. If you would be looking at Word or PowerPoint or etc., any Office apps or any uh, word processing application, it only goes to show that the if statement needs an additional function, and that function is an end one. So I'll be typing end. So it makes the if statement closed for this particular session. So after you have done that, don't forget to save. So again, I told you the file name will be the same as the function name. So I'll be saving this. Then once that it is saved, you may try to now type your function. So my guess. So it asks you for a number from 1 to 100. Let's say for example 80. Sorry, try again next time. Bye. Let us try to improve this function. So we could improve our function by having, let's say for example, a colon and a space. Oops, not on this one, but rather on my input X. Don't forget to save. If you have no arguments whatsoever on your function and it is more on running it, you may click on the run button so that you could run your program. As you can see, it's the same as we type the program itself, or they type the function itself. So pick a number from 1 to 100. So this is good already because we already have a good representation of the number. So let us say it is not 69, but we try to test if it will be okay for 99. So here you have guessed the favorite number. So that is how we try to use an if condition or condition statements. So you have if else that you may try to manipulate for, let's say for example, multiple conditions. So it's up to you on how would you try to play with it to create the function that you want to do. Now the next function that I will want to create is I want to create a function that accepts a variable, or accepts a value, I mean, and that value will be used on the particular function. At the same time, I'll be using a loop command, and we will be starting at what we call a for loop. Just like with C++, for loop has a iterative process, but unlike with the for loop on C++, it makes it easier for Matlab to work with. So let's say for example I want to get an average of n numbers. So how do I try to create that? So I go again on new script, I go in function, then my average. So again, as I told you, try to create a function that is unique to the other commands that is being used on Matlab, or else your Matlab will actually what should I say? With actually, or the commands in the Matlab will actually conflict with the ones that you have made if it is similar in name. So as much as possible, we try to stay away from the functions that we have, and stay from the pre-made functions that Matlab has, and try to work on your own function name. So for me, I'll be putting this one as function my average. Then it will accept a variable x. What it does is that I want that x to be, or I want that x to be an x number of values that will be averaged. So that's the idea. So once that I create this one and try to type and enter, then I'll have a sum which is equal to 0. Later on you will know why it is that I initialize sum is equal to 0. Then I'll create a for loop. Again, there's no parentheses needed. Then the next thing I'll be typing is for I I'm sorry, I is equal to 1 colon x. If you would notice this on our last discussion on the first lecture on Matlab series, this particular sequence or this particular notation that I is equal to 1 to x, it only goes to show that your value for I will be equal to 1 up to x with an increment of 1. So if I will have, let's say for example, x is equal to 100, then I would have my I is equal to 1 up to 100 with an increment of 1. So going further, so I'll have my value, let's say for example, value is equal to input, then enter value number. So I will have a value there. Oops, I need to create what we call strcat. String concatenate is trying to combine two strings into one. Why I want to try to do this is because that I want to have a variable display that will display a value of I from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So I need the string concatenate so that I could enter my default string, which is enter value number, then comma, I'll be adding this int to string or into str, then I'll have a value of I here. Then I have a colon here. So what it does, it gives you the display later on, which is enter value number. It will start at 1, then it has a colon, so you will be inputting a number. Then the next iterations for that will be enter value number 2. It's because you try to combine the string of enter value with a particular value which is converted from integer to string, which is I, and combined it also with a colon. So that is what we did. Now the next one is I will have my sum is equal to sum plus value. What it does, it adds the value to the sum and it tries to pass it onto it tries to assign it to the new value of sum. So you start from 0, so your sum is 0 plus the value that you have, and pass that addition process or pass that sum to the variable what we call sum. So now on the next iteration you have a previous value of the sum and it will be added to the second value or the third value or the fourth value. So that will be the case. It will add up to the variable sum. So that is what the concept is for creating this particular expression. Now this one is finished for the sum, so I'll be ending this one so that it will close the for loop and it will remove the red markings for the for loop command. Now finally, to get for the average, so I'll be putting here average, so I'll be putting a underscore. It might be having a, so it will not be conflict with the functions that we have in Matlab. So average is equal to, let's say for example, sum divided by x, because the whole sum on the for loop divided by the value or the number of iterations that you have made for the average. Then I put a semicolon here, then display average underscore. So it will display on the command window. So I try to save this. So save. I could not run this program. If I run this, it will give me an error. It's because I need to have an argument on my function. So let's say for example I want to have an average of 5 numbers. So I'll be putting here as my average, open parenthesis, then 5. It means that my function or my program will actually accept 5 values. Oops, there's still an error. Let us see what would be the problem for the program. Let us check. I think we have this one. It is missing one parenthesis if I'm not mistaken, because it must be strcat. So this would be in parenthesis, then the input. So the parenthesis is already balanced. So again, I try to click on save. Let us see. So as you can see on the average, so it asks us to enter a value number 1. Let's say for example 12, value number 2, 10, value number 3, 15, value number 4, 20, and lastly value number 5, which is 10, and it gives you the average of the 5 numbers that we have. So this is just a basic example. Actually, there is already a function in Matlab that gets for the average, but for the purpose of using the for loop command, we try to use the basic application of for loop by having what we call average. So for now, I'll be stopping on this particular topic, and on the next topic we will be discussing about while loops and how do we try to use while loops. Let's say for example in a iterative process of, in numerical methods we call it as incremental search, where you try to search for the value that makes the function equal to 0. We will be also having some understandings on how would we try to use the incremental search by using the plot function, so that we could determine where to start on the incremental search and how would it try to pass the incremental search and get for the value which is equal to 0, or at least near to the value 0. So that would be for now. So I'll see you again next time.